Okay, here is our next part. So in order to cut a brunoise, and a brunoise is a cut that measures 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch square. Well, right here in front of us, we just finished our julienne, which is 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch square by 2 to 2.5 inches. So the first step in cutting a brunoise is starting with a julienne. Once you've created your juliennes, then you can take those, and I'll just do a portion of them. You can take those and you can start cutting them into your brunoise. So start with what you feel comfortable with, okay? Maybe just 2 or 3 at a time, okay? And I just take and I just line them up as I am right here, and then I just trim off a little bit of the end just so that they're straight, and then I just cut 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch, holding that little bundle together. Okay, the hardest part, admittedly, is just, trying to fight the little curl. Make sure you give yourself plenty of room. Okay. So I'm just going to take these and I'm going to cut them into tiny, tiny pieces. One of the things that I certainly see students do more so than not, it doesn't matter if it's an adult learner or if it is a teenager, is they all end up being too big, okay? Way too big. So I wouldn't suggest starting with a pile that big, okay? Start with something a little smaller. Maybe just start with 3, okay? And then you can work your way up. Now here they're already straight, so I don't need to trim any off. And I'm just cutting 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch. All the way down, very carefully, sliding my guide hand down, okay, till I get to the end. And if I find one that, like that's a little big, I just cut that in half. And that is a brunoise. As you start to get better and you start to become more adept to holding your knife, then you can go ahead and do maybe 4 at a time or 5 at a time. But don't rush it, okay? Most people didn't learn to ride a bike without training wheels, and they kind of worked their way up, okay? Nobody climbs Mount Everest if they can't climb Camelback Mountain first. So, do what you feel comfortable with. Hopefully that's more than just 1 at a time or 2 at a time. Although if it's just 2 at a time, then so be it. We're practicing, and I want you to be safe. So if you have to do just 2 at a time, do 2 at a time. Just like this, just like that. Okay, very gentle. Not a lot of upward motion. None of this, okay? None of that. It's just literally laying the knife on top and just pushing gently down and forward. And what we're looking for is we're looking for consistency. We're looking for the knife skills to look similar. They may not all be exactly 1/8 of an inch, but when you look at them closely in a pile, okay, they all look, again, very, very similar. So once you learn to do this, the julienne, doing the brunoise is just one additional step of placing those planks down on your board, making sure you start with a straight edge, and down and forward, down and forward, down and forward. Okay? So it's nice and simple. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's a simple knife cut. And that is our brunoise. Okay? Now what I'm going to have you do is you're going to take 1 carrot and you're going to julienne it. Okay? 1 full carrot. Then we're going to take a portion of those juliennes and we're going to turn those into brunoise. Okay? So julienne turns into brunoise. And we're looking for something that is approximately, again, 1/8 of an inch by 1/8 of an inch square. You got to kind of remind yourself, if you're starting to cut your carrots, and let's say you're starting with your juliennes, okay? You don't want to start off too thick and then continue to go too thick. You've got to stop yourself, okay? And you need to readjust. What I typically do is I'll set the mark. And what I mean by that is I'll just cut 1 or 2 juliennes, okay? To make sure that I've got the proper size, and then I'll continue from there. And if I have to, I'll place one in front of me and make sure that none of them get any bigger than that one and none of them become any smaller than that one, okay? All right, so there's our julienne, there's our brunoise. Next, well, let me kind of clean some of this up, and when we come back, I'll show you how to cut rondelles. Okay, a rondelle is just a round cut.